Airsoft GI would like to thank our sponsors.
So, that brings us to Tim versus Bob 3.
Yes.
We were back at Viper back at SC Village.
Back at SC Village.
We did play Viper for the second game. But the first game, I am very proud of the team therapists for raising my flags up.
Oh, God. I knew you were going to bring this up. That is
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
I didn't even need any spies. They were already just working for me.
Thank you, Jet. Thank you for that. I asked what flags we're supposed to raise up, and they're like, all right, you got to raise up the yellow flags. I was like, okay, cool. And then we raised up yellow flags, and they're like, check that. Your flags are the blue flags.
My flags are the yellow
So
flags.
I was scoring points for you for the first half hour. That was great. Jeez. That was actually a really fun field. We had more pyrotechnics for this one, or more, loud pyrotechnics, and quite a few more people. I mean,
yeah, Jet had their replica or their training mortars or something like that, so it makes a big boom without all the death and destruction.
Like literally, like really loud. He also had one smoke grenade, which was sighted over, or like at least sectioned over from my side for use later.
That was useless.
I disagree. I was there for it. I remember.
Jet is an absolutely useless pilot.
No, you're just pissed because he didn't drop your ordnance on target.
So this is what happened. Okay, Bob calls in the first mortar strike or grenade strike or something. You had some sort of thing on your team.
Yeah, basically, David. A lot of your a lot of your Marine buddies, David, Vince, and all of them were grouped in one building, along with Josh, our Predator. And then actually, Jet came over and was like, "Hey, Bob, there's a bunch of people we know right here. I think it'd be a good place for a mortar strike." I was like, "Dude, drop it right on their heads." And he went over and dropped it right next to the building, and then killed all of them.
Jet started calling the countdown on my radio, and I was like, "Jet, you better not be setting that off without a camera nearby." And he was like, okay, cancel the countdown. Let's go find the cameraman.
Yeah.
And as that was happening, I was running to the front lines. I was like, get back!
Yeah, no, I remember calling on Jet. I was like, where the hell is my artillery? He's like, I'm waiting on cameras, man. I was like, get them over there. I can see them running away.
I used that extra 5 to 10 seconds to try to get my guys back. And it kind of worked. I think I ended up killing myself in the process.
You lost about 40 guys, but you probably would have lost 80 had you not had that time.
Well, I mean, I had run up so far that I just called myself out because I figured I was in the blast radius anyway. But I was just like, yeah, don't let that thing go off without a cameraman nearby. And he was like, okay, check that. Let me find a cameraman. And so since we delayed the reaction, I was able to save a couple of my dudes.
There's actually one time in the game where I almost got captured, where right after that mortar explosion, I started pushing people through the city. Didn't get too far, but right as I was getting out of that little Vietnamese village right there, some random insurgent came up and had his hand on my arm, was like, blah, 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 blah. I'm pointing a gun at me. I was like, wow, did I just get captured in the middle of all of my own men? And then a bunch of people start turning around, including Chris Bass. They're like, just aiming at the guy, and he realizes he's completely surrounded, and he's like, bam, and just shoots himself in the head. And I basically go down on one knee. I'm like, hey, buddy, are you okay, man? You didn't have to do that. He's like, no, I aimed right behind my head, so I didn't actually shoot myself. I was like, okay. But there was one guy named Portugal who was a spy on your team, or decided to be a spy for me, and he actually grabbed a briefcase full of intelligence, walked through your lines, and gingerly walked right through my lines too, just holding a briefcase. He's like, hey, Bob, I just got this briefcase. Like, Portugal, he literally walked right into my company HQ. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, just thought I'd bring some intel. Hey, how's it going? Just jumped in. I was like, wow, all right, well, why don't you fight for my side now? And then not 10 minutes later, some other guy, like an insurgent with intel, comes in, and then he ends up being not very cooperative. So we actually just put him on the ground. I can't remember if we zip tied his hands or not. But basically, as he's on the ground, Portugal sees him going for a gun to shoot me in my own HQ. And I literally turn around just to see the barrel of a KWA 45 point at my face. And thank gosh, he literally had the safety on. He's like, click, and started fiddling with it. And Portugal dived on the gun. A couple other people dived on him, and then just took the gun away. I was like, whoo!
You are just the luckiest. Yeah. On top of all of that, I called in an airstrike with Jet. And I said, okay, you guys were moving up through the bushes. And I was like, Jet, the yellow flag that it indicates the trail, I need you to throw the bomb in the trail. But I guess all Jet heard was yellow flag. So I was like, okay, yellow flag, no problem. Boom. Bomb goes off right on the yellow flag. Wipes out 40 of my dudes that were in the area. And I was like, Jet, that is not anywhere near where I told you to throw that bomb. He was like, sorry.
No, I thought it was like,
he was like
pilot error, deal with it.
Pilot error, deal with it. I was like, that is ridiculous. You just murdered half of my team right there. And so subsequently, you guys were able to move up and gain some ground. That was towards the end of the first game. You guys got a couple of flags back in that area.
There were just so few flags, like, in the city where we were. Like, you had 4 near your starting area, and then there were 2 in the city, and then I had 1 in my starting area, and then 1 further in the jungle. So we would have literally had to have pushed you back almost all the way to your starting point to be able to get the majority of the flags. So the odds were stacked, I would say, heavily against us.
Well, and the fact that you guys are incompetent.
You're a whore. But also the day before, or 2 days before, they placed like about 4 to 5 new flags on the field for that paintball game.
Yeah.
And all of those flags were on your side in your starting zone.
So there weren't supposed to be that many flags in play.
There was supposed to be like 4 on the field, and there ended up being 8. Yeah. And you had like 5 or 6 of them in your starting area.
That was convenient.
Yeah, that was very convenient. Payoff, do I say?
The other thing is, too, the second time I called in a mortar strike, Jet told me it was a dud.
Yeah.
It didn't go off. I called it in Viper during the second game. Jet told me it was a dud, and then I get a call from Jet as we're starting to talk about TV before. He's like, hey, man, I still got one of these Moabs. Like, we need to use this for the next game. I was like, what? You told me that thing didn't work.
yeah, that's
like,
right.
You got me. I was like, you didn't even set it off, did you? He was like, no, I couldn't, man. I was like, oh, my God, that would have made such a big difference.
He came over to me. He's like, hey, Bob, Tim called an airstrike, but I'm not going to drop it. I'm going to tell him it's pilot error. And he has his laugh. He's like, I
was like, man, I couldn't believe it because that would have wiped out so many guys because Viper is such a small area and the Moabs were supposed to have a really large kill radius.
No, definitely would have wiped out a lot of my dudes. I mean, I had a lot extra and we had some respawn tickets, whereas you guys had I believe you had 0 respawn tickets at the end.
Yeah.
And if the game hadn't been called a little bit early, I dare say we would have won.
Perhaps. But you didn't.
But it got called early, so I didn't. Our team didn't succeed as well as I would have hoped.
Your team did not succeed, meaning they failed.
No.
You lost the game, Bob.
No.
You lost team.
Disagree.
Well, we'll agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
But you lost.
You're a whore.